Our inspiring executive and guest today is Arda Ural, PhD, the America's Life Sciences Sector Leader for Ernst & Young. EY is a $53 billion global services firm with a range of services to the life sciences industry. In his role leading this sector, Arda helps his clients address their most pressing issues at the C-suite level. He has a proven track record in pharma, biotech, and the medtech industry, with 30 years of experience in general management, corporate strategy, and commercialization, new product development, and M&A. Recently, Arda was named a standout leader in the prestigious 2024 Pharma Voice 100. Arda, welcome.
Thanks, Lorraine, for having me.
I just want to say that I'm honored and grateful that you wrote such an eloquent foreword for my new book, No Fear, No Failure. In it, you wrote, "How can large organizations institutionalize innovation and maintain their competitive edge at the same time that they avoid becoming corporate dinosaurs?" I wonder if you could give us your own personal C-suite level answer to that question.
Sure. And first of all, congratulations on the book. And I think I'm looking forward to its launch. And what I can tell here is that in my experience of working with the startups, the biggest challenge I see typically is to be able to clearly articulate what problem their technology or their company is solving for the customer. So the founders tend to have more technical backgrounds just by virtue of how things start from the colleges and tech transfers or the back of the garages, and how they express the value proposition from a customer point of view typically is outside of their comfort zone. So I usually, when working with them, I usually ask them this question. So imagine you're Steve Wozniak, the co-founder of a leading technology company and a obviously well-known technical genius. So how would you translate your technology to other Steve, the Steve Jobs vision that focuses on the customer's undefined, unstated needs? And I usually get an introspective pause at that moment. And that tells you that they're just really thinking in different terms, and kind of they're placing themselves not as a technical expert, but an expert of a business innovation or innovation per se. And that's the startup side of the house. And then for the large corporation, it gets even trickier because the employees in charge of innovation, like R&D, product development, they're also not necessarily connected to the customer-facing functions. And they may be in silos, and they may not necessarily be answering that, again, within their comfort zones.
Really great points, Arda, and I think that across our industry and certainly other corporations as well, this customer-first mentality, we all like to espouse it, but it is absolutely one of the hardest things to do because it's so easy to fall into inside-out type of thinking when to be customer first, you've got to get that outside-in customer thinking. In the foreword, you zeroed in on the second C, and that is culture. For this variable, you wrote, and this is a quote, "Culture makes innovation sink or swim in a large company or environment." Can you elaborate on that point? Because again, you've seen companies on the continuum, different levels, and so give us a little bit more color behind that observation.
Absolutely. Look, it all comes down to change management and culture. Culture is critical. And my experience is that incentives drive culture. So there is an intrinsic asymmetry of incentives in a large organization based on varying degrees of risk tolerance. So for example, the business side with little risk tolerance prefers a relatively near-term revenue driven by the novel innovation. But the R&D side needs more runway and time to think and iterate and experiment for a new solution or service to meet or exceed customers' requirements. So R&D culture has much more greater risk tolerance just by nature of it. and then the commercial side may not. But ultimately, I think if you phrase the culture or frame the situation as something like Mandela said, he said, "I never lose. I either win or learn." So that would change a very productive environment for the culture to move forward, learning from the hopefully fail fast examples and then incorporate that into the next iteration of the innovation.
I couldn't agree with you more. I think that underscores the heart and soul of this book and certainly the foreword that you've written. And I was going to ask you what you think about adding failure to an organization's KPIs, whether it's the Mandela phrasing of it, but really starting to incentivize it at a corporate or an enterprise level so that it matters, because we know that people do what we measure, and you're touching the tip of the iceberg in terms of starting to set up some incentives. But do you think we should go farther in corporate organizations with incentivizing failure?
Look, I think the most important part is, can you bounce back faster? Or as some people say, like, can you bounce forward after you tripped? And what is maybe should be rewarded is fail fast as opposed to keep failing. And what did you learn from it? And don't make it personal, but make it more people, process, and technology driven. So that way you can iterate your innovation model better for the next one that's coming to you. Because I think we also said in the book, a large portion of the Fortune 500s, 20 years ago are no longer on that list. So we need to really reinvent ourselves at a different level to keep innovating, especially in this time where there's so much opportunity for AI to disrupt or innovate our business models or services or products.
Well, thank you, Arda. Thank you for sharing these insights. I know they're going to be helpful to our audience. And also thank you for writing the foreword to my book. And I look forward to our continued partnership.
Thank you very much, Lorraine. Again, congratulations.
We'll announce our next Champions of Change conversation on LinkedIn. In the meantime, you can pre-order your copy of No Fear, No Failure on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and bookshop.org.